You usually when we think about the systems keeping our homes running, we tend to picture, like, the visible infrastructure.
Oh, absolutely. The mechanical stuff.
Right. The hum of the refrigerator, the glow of your Wi-Fi router, or, the air conditioning kicking on.
Things you could actually interact with.
Exactly. It feels controlled, right? Like
Yeah.
you flip a switch, the lights come on, you turn a dial, the house gets cooler.
Yeah, there is a direct cause and effect that we can see.
But then you look out your window, out into your front yard or your backyard, and there's this entirely different, completely invisible system running right beneath the grass.
And it is a system that, quite frankly, most of us actively try our hardest never, ever to think about.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the septic system.
Yeah. It is the ultimate out of sight, out of mind utility for a homeowner.
It really is.
We tend to treat our plumbing like a magic disappearing act, which is the exact mindset that leads to just catastrophic and, frankly, completely disgusting failures.
Yeah, it's the magic disappearing act that can suddenly reappear in, like, the worst, most expensive way possible.
Right in your yard.
Oh, don't even say it. So today, we are pulling from a stack of really fascinating sources to figure out why this happens. We've got engineering breakdowns of residential wastewater mechanics, articles on soil percolation.
Which are surprisingly interesting, by the way.
They really are. And we also have manufacturer white papers detailing biological treatments, specifically looking at a product called SEPTIFIX.
Right.
So our mission in this deep dive is to synthesize all of this, to uncover why the most expensive household disasters usually start quietly, sometimes, like years before you actually notice them.
Long before the yard gets flooded.
Exactly. We want to give you, the listener, a shortcut to understanding this hidden ecosystem so you can avoid a massive excavation and an incredibly smelly repair bill. Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with the actual mechanics, because the perception of what happens after you flush is usually completely wrong.
Completely wrong, yeah. The biggest misconception we need to clear up immediately is the idea that a septic tank is just, well, a holding tank.
Like a big trash can.
Exactly. Most people imagine a giant concrete trash can buried in the dirt, just, passively collecting waste until a truck comes to pump it out.
Right, like an underground dumpster.
But it's not. It was actually an active, living biological factory. It's a completely self-contained wastewater treatment plant, specifically engineered for homes that just aren't hooked up to a municipal sewer line.
Reading through the engineering breakdowns, the analogy that kept popping into my head was a stomach.
Oh, a stomach. Yeah, I like that.
Like it's a giant underground mechanical stomach, or maybe like a highly complex biological compost bin.
Yeah, because it isn't just storing things. It's actively digesting them.
Right. So walk me through that. What happens when it digests?
Well, that analogy is spot on. Every single time you flush a toilet or, run the dishwasher or do a load of laundry, all of that wastewater flows down a main pipe and enters the stomach.
And then what? It just mixes together.
For a moment, yeah. But once it's inside, the engineering relies really heavily on fluid dynamics and specific gravity. The wastewater separates into 3 very distinct layers based on weight.
Okay, right. So the sources mention this. The top layer is the scum, right?
Yeah, the scum layer.
Which just sounds terrible. But this consists of your oils, your grease, and, floating materials.
Things that are lighter than water.
Right, because they're lighter, they rise to the surface, creating this kind of sealing inside the tank.
Exactly, a floating crust, basically.
Ugh. Okay. Then you have the sludge, which is the very bottom layer.
Right.
These are the heavy organic solids that sink directly to the floor. So you're sandwiched between that crust of scum on top and the sludge on the bottom. And that middle layer, that's called the effluent, right?
You got it, the effluent. It's
Yeah.
the relatively clear liquid layer.
Okay, and according to the plumbing journals, the effluent is the only part that is supposed to actually flow out of the tank and into the drain field.
That is the goal, yes. Only the clear liquid.
But help me out with the engineering here. How does a concrete box actually ensure that only the middle layer escapes? Like, how does it know?
What's fascinating here is that the entire design relies on structures called baffles, combined with biological timing.
Baffles.
Yeah. Baffles are essentially T-shaped pipes located at the inlet where water enters and the outlet where water leaves. And they extend down directly into that middle liquid layer.
Oh, so they bypass the top.
Exactly. Because the outlet baffle reaches below the floating scum and above the sunken sludge, it only allows that clear effluent in the middle to flow out.
That is surprisingly clever.
It is. But for that separation to happen, the water has to stay in the tank for a specific amount of time. Usually it's about 24 to 48 hours.
And the sources call that retention time, right?
Right, retention time.
Yeah.
If the tank is working properly, gravity does the sorting and biology does the breakdown.
And the biology is, well, it's the actual engine of this whole operation, isn't it? The bacteria.
Oh, absolutely. Naturally occurring anaerobic bacteria live inside that tank.
Anaerobic meaning without oxygen.
Exactly. They thrive in environments completely without oxygen. And their entire existence is just dedicated to feasting on the organic solid waste in the sludge layer.
Just constantly eating.
Constantly digesting and breaking down that material. And as they eat, they convert a significant portion of those solids into liquids and gases.
Which I imagine keeps the tank from just filling up immediately.
Precisely. It dramatically slows down the rate at which the sludge layer builds up. Nature is doing almost all the heavy lifting for us here. When that bacterial ecosystem is robust, the system just hums along with incredible efficiency.
Okay, so we have this underground stomach balancing scum, effluent, and sludge. It's protected by baffles and powered by billions of anaerobic bacteria.
That's the summary, yeah.
Which brings us to the terrifying part of the research.
Yeah.
Because the stomach is buried like 3 feet underground. You can't see when it gets indigestion.
You really can't.
And the sources emphasize that disasters do not just happen on a random Tuesday. Like, the overnight failure is a total myth.
It is a complete myth. What looks like a sudden geyser of sewage in your yard is actually the culmination of a very slow, very silent decline.
So where does it start?
It happens on a microscopic level first. Bacterial activity drops.
Okay.
Which means the sludge isn't being eaten as fast. So the sludge layer grows higher, while the scum layer on top grows thicker.
Oh, so the middle layer gets squeezed.
Exactly. It shrinks that middle liquid layer, dramatically reducing the tank's retention time.
And when retention time drops?
When retention time drops, wastewater gets pushed out of the tank before the solids have a chance to settle. Suddenly, you are pushing raw, unfiltered solids out into your drain field.
And the drain field isn't just like an empty pipe, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole network of perforated pipes laid over crushed stone.
Right.
And it's designed to let that clear effluent slowly percolate down into the soil. So if you push solid sludge into those tiny perforations, you basically clog the entire filtering mechanism.
Precisely. You're choking the system. And as those solids build up in the soil, they form what's called a biomat.
A biomat.
Yeah, it's a thick, slimy layer of bacteria and organic matter. Now, a very thin biomat is normal, but a thick one completely seals the soil.
Like wrapping it in plastic.
Basically, yeah. The water can't drain, the system backs up. And because all of this happens so gradually underground, the system reaches a tipping point completely silently.
Wow. And by the time it tips, you were just in for a nightmare. So how do we spot the warning signs before that biomat seals completely and the tank overflows?
Well, there are signs, but they're easy to miss.
Right. The articles detailed several subtle symptoms that usually get misinterpreted. Let's start with what happens inside the house.
Okay.
You might notice sinks or bathtubs draining a little more slowly than usual. But wait, if my sink is slow, I'm grabbing the plunger,
Huh?
Like, I assume it's a hair clog. I would never jump to, oh, my septic tank is failing.
And that's exactly why people ignore it.
Is there a specific way to tell the difference?
It's a really common trap to assume localized plumbing issues. A hair clog in the P-trap affects one sink, just one. But we are looking for a systemic backup.
Systemic, meaning the whole house.
Right. Because the drain field is sealed by that thick biomat we talked about, or the tank itself is overly full of sludge, the incoming wastewater literally has nowhere to go. It backs up into the main plumbing line of the entire house.
Oh, I see.
So if you're noticing slow drains in multiple rooms simultaneously, or if, say, plunging a sink only fixes the issue for a day before it slows down again, you are fighting hydrostatic pressure from the septic tank. Not a hairball.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. The pressure is literally pushing back against the entire house.
Exactly.
Which also explains another indoor sign I read about. Toilets that suddenly require multiple flushes to clear the bowl.
Yeah, that's a big one. The water just doesn't have the gravitational clearance to flow away quickly. You're trying to force water into a pipe that is already standing full of backed up effluent.
Just a wall of water.
Pretty much.
And when you have that much standing wastewater in the pipes, you get the next major warning sign, which is gurgling or bubbling sounds coming from the drains.
Yeah, that gurgling is pure physics.
Really? How so?
When a septic system is struggling and waste movement slows down, Air gets trapped inside the plumbing lines between the house and the tank.
Okay.
So when you flush a toilet or drain a full bathtub, that heavy volume of water pushes past the trapped air.
And the air has to escape somehow.
Exactly. The air has to go somewhere, so it gets forced back up through the water in the pipes, creating that distinct bubbling or gurgling noise in your shower drain or your toilet bowl.
Like it's burping.
Yeah. It is a massive red flag that your plumbing is struggling to breathe.
Wow. Okay, and along with those noises, you might start noticing faint sewage odors around the bathrooms, the laundry room, or even outside near the tank.
Right. And a healthy, balanced system should be virtually odorless.
Because those anaerobic bacteria are contained and the gases are properly vented through the roof of your house.
Exactly. If you smell sulfur or raw sewage down at ground level, gases are escaping where they shouldn't, or the waste is sitting way too long in the pipes.
But the outdoor signs are even more fascinating to me, and honestly, highly deceptive. Like, you might walk out into your yard and find muddy, wet patches near the drain field, even during perfectly dry weather.
Yeah, that is the ultimate sign of a failed drain field.
Just wet mud for no reason.
Because the soil is completely saturated. The biomat we talked about earlier has become totally impermeable. Since the effluent can't percolate downward into the earth anymore, hydraulic pressure forces it upward, straight to the surface.
Ew, so you're literally seeing raw, partially treated wastewater pooling on your lawn.
That's exactly what it is.
Which leads to the most counterintuitive warning sign of all. You look out at your yard and see an isolated patch of incredibly vibrant, fast-growing, lush green grass directly over the septic area.
It looks beautiful, doesn't it?
Right. You might think your lawn is just thriving, but it's actually a cry for help.
It is a botanical distress signal.
A distress signal. I love that term.
Because human wastewater is packed with nitrogen and phosphorus.
Oh, like fertilizer.
Yes. When your drain field is leaking excess effluent near the surface, you are effectively providing a constant, hyper-concentrated dose of liquid fertilizer and water to that specific patch of grass from below.
Wow.
If one perfect rectangle of your lawn looks like a pristine golf course while the rest is dry, your system is bleeding out.
Okay, so we have slow drains, gurgling pipes, systemic backups, standing water, and suspiciously perfect grass.
A lot of subtle clues.
Yeah. And if the failure mechanism is this slow buildup of solids in a ruined drain field, we really have to look at what is accelerating that process. And the research paints a pretty clear picture here.
It does.
The surprising answer is that we are the ones doing it. We are the accidental saboteurs.
Oh, absolutely. The majority of modern septic failures aren't caused by, like, tree roots crushing pipes or the concrete tank deteriorating.
Right.
They are linked directly to our everyday habits. We are routinely assassinating the beneficial bacteria and physically sabotaging the baffles.
Assassinating the bacteria. Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's look at the physical sabotage first. Flushing the unfluttables.
Oh, boy.
The literature highlights wet wipes, paper towels, cotton swabs, feminine hygiene products, and dental floss. Now, the packaging on a lot of wet wipes literally says flushable, which seems like false advertising when you read what they actually do to a septic tank.
Yeah, it's incredibly misleading. Flushable simply means it will clear the S-curve of your toilet bowl.
That's it.
That's it. It does not mean it will decompose. Toilet paper is engineered to dissolve in water almost immediately, right?
All right.
But wet wipes and dental floss are made with synthetic polymers and tightly woven fibers that give them high tensile strength. They do not succumb to the bacterial enzymes in the tank.
They just sit there.
Worse. Instead, they float in the scum layer, or they get sucked toward the outlet baffle. They wrap around that T-pipe, tangling into massive fibrous dams that physically block the effluent from leaving the tank.
So you are building a synthetic beaver dam in your own plumbing.
A very gross beaver dam, yeah.
That's terrible. Okay,
Yeah.
so the next physical saboteur is grease disposal, like pouring cooking oil or bacon grease down the kitchen sink.
Right. And people think because it goes down as a liquid, it's fine.
I mean, I can see the logic. It's hot, it's liquid.
But as it hits the cold environment of the buried septic tank, it undergoes a massive temperature drop and solidifies.
Of course.
It floats to the top and joins the scum layer. But instead of remaining somewhat pliable, it hardens into this impermeable, waxy crust.
Like a candle.
Exactly. And if that crust gets too thick, it drastically reduces the functional volume of the tank, destroying that crucial retention time we talked about earlier.
Okay, so that's physical sabotage.
Yeah.
But moving from that to chemical warfare. Heavy amounts of bleach, drain-clearing chemicals, or antibacterial surface cleaners. Think about the irony here.
It's tragic, really.
We aggressively sanitize our toilets and sinks with harsh antibacterial chemicals to keep our homes clean.
Hmm?
But in doing so, we're literally pouring poison onto the beneficial bacteria that we desperately need to keep the house functioning.
It is the ultimate paradox of modern sanitation.
It really is.
The anaerobic bacteria in that tank are living organisms with delicate cell walls, and bleach is an incredibly powerful oxidizing agent.
Right, it destroys bacteria.
So when you pour heavy concentrations of bleach or chemical drain openers down the sink, it floods the tank and literally destroys the lipid bilayers of those bacterial cells. It wipes out billions of them all at once.
Wow.
When the bacterial population crashes, waste decomposition just stops. The organic solids in the sludge layers sit there, building up exponentially faster. You're sterilizing your underground stomach so it cannot digest its food.
That is a terrifying way to put it, but it makes so much sense.
Hmm.
And the final major saboteur isn't a chemical or a solid, right? It's sheer volume,
Volume, yes, water overuse.
like running 4 or 5 loads of laundry in a single Saturday, which, let's be honest, we've all done.
Oh, sure. But this goes right back to fluid dynamics. A standard septic tank is designed to process a very specific volume of water per day based on the size of the house.
Okay.
When you do 5 loads of laundry back to back, you are dumping hundreds of gallons of water into the tank in a matter of hours.
And the tank just can't handle it.
That massive influx creates incredible turbulence. It stirs up the sunken sludge and the floating scum. And before they have time to settle back into their distinct layers, because remember, they need 24 to 48 hours.
Right, retention time.
Exactly. Before they can settle, that turbulent, solid-filled water gets forcefully pushed out through the baffle and into the drain field. You are bypassing the separation process entirely.
So this ecosystem is incredibly fragile. We're attacking it with synthetic polymers, solidifying grease, oxidizing bleach, and just like tidal waves of laundry water.
It's a wonder they work at all sometimes.
Truly. So now that we understand the mechanisms of how we are destroying it, how do we actively protect it? Like, how do we avoid the nightmare scenario of an excavator tearing up the yard?
Well, it requires a strategic shift in how you view your plumbing, starting with behavioral changes that protect the biomat and the bacteria.
Okay, behavioral changes, like what?
You space out your laundry loads over the week to maintain calm fluid dynamics in the tank.
No more Saturday laundry marathons.
Right. You let cooking grease cool in a container and throw it in the trash instead of the sink. You transition to septic-safe, biodegradable cleaning products.
Okay, that seems doable.
And physically, you never park vehicles or place heavy structures over the drain field because compacting that soil destroys its ability to let water percolate.
That makes sense. The sources also dig into biological support as part of a routine maintenance strategy, specifically analyzing products like SEPTIFIX. Let's talk about the chemistry of how a treatment like this actually works in the tank.
Right. So for homeowners looking to proactively manage that bacterial ecosystem, SEPTIFIX is engineered to alter the biological environment.
How does it do that?
It's a solid tablet that you basically just flush down the toilet once a month. When it reaches the tank and dissolves, it does 2 critical things. First, it releases a massive payload of beneficial bacteria to replace the ones we inevitably kill off with our daily soaps and cleaners.
Restocking the workforce.
Exactly.
But the research highlights that it also releases oxygen, which, that seems counterintuitive. You mentioned earlier that septic tanks are anaerobic environments, meaning they operate without oxygen. So why would you want to introduce oxygen?
Yeah, that is the brilliant part of the chemistry here. While anaerobic bacteria do a decent job, they are relatively slow eaters. And as a byproduct of their digestion, they produce methane and hydrogen sulfide, which is exactly what gives sewage that terrible rotten egg smell.
Ugh, right.
But by introducing oxygen into the liquid layer, SEPTIFIX temporarily creates an aerobic environment.
Aerobic meaning with oxygen.
Right. And aerobic bacteria, which require oxygen, are incredibly aggressive consumers of organic waste. They break down sludge much, much faster than anaerobic bacteria.
Oh, I see.
And even better, their metabolic byproduct is largely odorless carbon dioxide. So by oxygenating the tank, you accelerate the digestion process and dramatically reduce the foul odors.
That makes total sense. You are upgrading the workers in the factory from slow, smelly eaters to fast, clean eaters.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
But And the manufacturer data includes a very clear caveat that we absolutely need to emphasize here.
Without a doubt, biological treatments are supplements, not magic erasers.
Right.
Dropping a tablet in your toilet does not give you immunity from bad habits. It will not dissolve a synthetic wet wipe.
You won't fix the beaver dam.
No, it won't. It will not melt a 4-inch crust of bacon grease. And it certainly does not replace the need for regular professional pumping to remove the inorganic sludge that will inevitably accumulate over time.
So it's a helper, not a cure-all.
Exactly. It is a complementary tool to maintain biological health, not an alternative to responsible ownership.
So what does this all mean for the listener's wallet? When you weigh the effort of these preventative steps against the reality of a system failure.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, preventative maintenance isn't just a good idea. It is the most financially defensive move a homeowner can make.
The engineering papers make the costs glaringly obvious.
Oh, they do. If you ruin your drain field by clogging the biomat with solids, you can't just snake a pipe. Emergency septic failure means hiring heavy machinery to excavate your property.
Tearing up the lawn.
Tearing up the lawn, removing tons of contaminated soil, laying entirely new plumbing networks, and then rebuilding the landscape. You are talking about a destructive, highly disruptive project that easily runs into the tens of thousands of dollars.
Tens of thousands. Compared to, what, the cost of pacing your laundry, throwing your dental floss in the trash, and maintaining the bacteria with a monthly treatment. It's an absolute no-brainer.
It really is.
Okay, we have covered a massive amount of subterranean science today. To synthesize everything, keeping your hidden factory running smoothly is all about respecting the fluid dynamics and the biology.
Simple as that.
It's about protecting the bacteria from chemical warfare, avoiding the synthetic dams caused by wet wipes, and paying close attention to the subtle physics of your plumbing.
Right, the gurgling air, the slow hydrostatic backups.
And the suspiciously vibrant grass.
Never trust perfect grass.
Exactly. Above all, it means abandoning the idea that your drains are an infinite void.
That brings up a final thought I would really love for everyone to sit with.
Yeah.
When you look at the mechanics of a septic system, it forces you to confront how disconnected modern humans have become from our own biological footprint.
Oh, wow. That's deep.
We are incredibly accustomed to the luxury of flushing and instantly forgetting. But when you live on a septic system, you aren't just a homeowner. You are the active manager of a complex, microscopic ecosystem living just inches beneath your lawn.
You really are.
It strips away the illusion of the municipal sewer and forces you to realize a fundamental law of physics. Nothing truly goes away.
It has to go somewhere.
It just moves to a different part of your property, waiting for nature and your careful management to deal with it.
That is a wildly humbling perspective. You aren't just doing the dishes, you are feeding an ecosystem. I love that.
It changes how you see things.
It really does.
Right.
And it will permanently change how you look at a perfectly green patch of grass, that's for sure. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
Hopefully, we've helped you map out the invisible factory humming along beneath your feet. Go easy on the bleach, keep the grease out of the sink, and treat your plumbing with a little more scientific respect. Until next time, keep your bacteria happy.